You know, if you're a conservative Republican, if I were a liberal, okay, that's why I always started, went to Wharton, was a good student, went there, did this, built the, you know, I have to give my credentials all the time, because we're at a little disadvantage. But you look at the nuclear deal. We had our beautiful Marine standing there, bing, 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 bing. We got him back. Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing. You know what that is, right? Bing, bing. I love it.
You don't know what that is. Remember in 2015 and 2016 when we used to be shocked, amazed even, by incoherent, meandering, almost incomprehensible speeches by then candidate Donald Trump? Well, it is now 2017, and grammatically incorrect sentences and hard-to-follow monologues are a daily national occurrence. But this week, with Trump giving an interview to the paper he loves to hate, the New York Times, we got bombshells, the president slamming his own attorney general, threatening the special prosecutor, and dismissing his dinner chat with Vladimir Putin. And we also got more examples of his bizarre word usage, like this comment on healthcare. We have some meetings scheduled today. I think we have 6 people who are really sort of okay. They're all good people. We don't have bad people. I know the bad people. Believe me, do I know bad people? That was about healthcare. And with me now are 2 guests I hope will help me translate Donald Trump for our viewers. Actor, award-winning, fabulous actor Ron Perlman, author of the memoir Easy Street, The Hard Way, and Columbia University linguistics professor and my personal favorite linguistics professor, John McWhorter, author of Words on the Move. Okay, this is like a dream panel for me because you know, maybe it is elitism, and I'll start with you on this, John McWhorter, to be weirded out by kind of the way Donald Trump speaks. But it does strike me that when I try to read what he's saying, it's very hard to understand it in print.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's partly that the way he talks is very oral, and so it's not designed to be read. It's not something anybody would write.
Right.
And the truth is, I mean, as disgusted by him in many ways as I am, the truth is that a lot of us sound a lot more like him than we would think, even on TV shows like this.
Yeah.
Context means a lot. He's not a careful speaker. He's just an ordinary barstool speaker.
And maybe that's why, because as an actor, you know, Ron, you're called upon to, you know, step outside of who you are and become someone else, right? Have you ever encountered a character like Donald Trump? This is him talking in New York Times. I'm going to read one more. Maybe I'll have you read it. I think I should have you read it. Read this one, number 3. We're going to let you take advantage of your word stylings if you have your glasses on.
I do not have my glasses.
You don't have your glasses. All right, I'll read it to you. I've had the best reviews on foreign land. So I go to Poland and make a speech. Enemies of mine in the media, enemies of mine are saying, it was the greatest speech ever made on foreign soil by a president. I'm saying, man, they cover garbled. You saw the interviews I got on that speech, the reviews I got on that speech. Poland was beautiful and wonderful, and the reception was incredible. Like he doesn't sound like a president, he sounds like a tourist.
I just wish more of it were garbled, because it may as well all be garbled. I mean, you know, it's like because there's zero coherence to any of it.
No.
Yeah, but is he an everyman or is he an elite man? I mean, this guy, he brags that he went to the best schools. He went to elite schools. He went to a private military school. What if you were playing Donald Trump? Would you be playing an elite man or an everyman?
Okay, so I don't know if you know this, but I had this trip to France. I was just there with the head guy. What's his name?
Emmanuel Macron?
Alfonso Macron. And he narrowly beat Le Pen. I think she won. But I mean, look, you know, who knows? Anyway, Macron, great guy. Never knew he was a great guy. He's French. Never knew he was a great guy. He has a very hot wife. We're talking, and you know, all my properties, I have this dessert. It's called the eclair. It's phenomenal. It has everything. It's like long. It's a little, you know, the shape of it is very, very, you know what I'm saying. And so, and it has this chocolate on the top, and then there's something in the middle of it. I don't know what it is, but it's, Joy, I don't know if you know this, but anyway, I'm talking with my new friend Alfonso Macron, and Alfonso says to me, the eclair. The eclair. And I didn't realize this, but we have Napoleon to thank for the eclair. That's it. The eclair is named after Napoleon.
I think you're our next president of the United States.
Well, I am running in 2020.
You should, because I mean that is obviously very enticing to a lot of people. There was recently a Quinnipiac poll, John. A Quinnipiac poll. Is Trump level-headed? Nah. 65% say absolutely not. Is Trump honest? Nah, man. 59% say he is not honest. But is Trump intelligent? Yep. 57% say he seems intelligent to me.
Well, he would be a very intelligent villager somewhere living with about 200 people 20,000 years ago, where everything is all about him and subjective impressions because there's no such thing as writing or history or science yet. And so Napoleon designed the streets of Paris rather than it being his nephew. And maybe it was this, and maybe it was that. Maybe Watergate had something to do with breaking into the DNC, but it's all just hearsay. All of that makes perfect sense if you live in a village and you're sitting in short pants about 20,000 years ago before there was such a thing as writing and print and science and establishing things in black and white. He might be quite intelligent, but he would have to be a highly intelligent pre-Neolithic villager. He's tragically unadorned. Let's put it
By
that
the
way.
way, there was an actual guy, I don't know if you know this, I just learned this, George.
Yeah.
Did you know this?
Many people are
There was
saying.
20,000 years ago, there was this guy named Bermuda. He was wearing shorts. You see where I'm going with this?
I think I do.
But I mean, you know, the odd thing about it is, you know, we laugh about it, and I guess it maybe is kind of an elitist thing to laugh. You know, I get mad when people say following guest when I go, and I really do hate it when people say following guest, by the way. It's next guest. But I mean, those things drive me crazy. But out in the world, out in America, it is seen as extremely elitist to care about that, right?
Yeah.
So Donald Trump speaking the way he does and sort of being very kind of ordinary in the way he is part of the reason that a lot of people, particularly conservatives, like him.
Oh, it helped get him elected. It makes him seem authentic. And as far as I'm concerned, casual speech in itself is a lot of fun to listen to. Listening to somebody who talks like Trump in a way, I think, isn't it neat how with all of those holes and non sequiturs, you know what a person means. That's something we would study. But he's president.
Yeah.
He's saying important things. He's supposed to be making sense. You're supposed to wear a suit when you're on TV.
Yeah.
He doesn't wear his linguistic suit. He doesn't use his linguistic deodorant. That's the problem.
Linguistic deodorant, that's a good one. I want to play one more clip. And this is Donald Trump. And I think this interview is actually even a little bit more insane, in sounding, just really interesting sounding than the New York Times interview. This is Time magazine, Donald Trump saying that he's a very stable person. This is what he said. He said, I'm a very stable person. I'm so stable you wouldn't believe it. We need a strong tone and a compassionate tone, and I can do both. Plus, what's up here, he said, pointing to his temple. I think temperament is my strength, my greatest strength. I'm not a fast trigger. I'm the opposite of a fast trigger, but nobody's going to push us around. I think my ideas are really good. So it's like the other thing he does is he mashes in, as you brilliantly did, Ron, lots of different ideas that don't have to do with the question into what he is saying. Did we just get too accustomed to presidents who speak formally and speak well? Not only Barack Obama, but go all the way back. If you listen to FDR speak, it's a very formal way of speaking. It's a very erudite way of speaking. Kennedy, very erudite. Even Ronald Reagan, his performative sort of presidency was very official.
Even GW tried.
He tried. Right.
Yeah.
George W. Bush tried and sometimes bumbled because his...
But he was making an effort.
He was trying, right. So the formal presidency, is it over?
No. It's just temporarily on pause.
Yeah.
And I mean, I thank God that there's a standard that is under siege. It's under assault, and you know, it's inevitable that this he has exposed something that is unacceptable.
Yeah.
In terms of the comportment of this is an incredibly distinguished position.
Yeah.
This is a position that affects not just everyone in the United States, but everybody on the planet. And we are being held hostage by somebody who has no core, somebody who has no center, somebody who just, you know, will say anything to generate a response. That's reverse engineering. That's not what a leader is supposed to do.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why we've had 44 others, and now him, which doesn't resemble any of the other 44. And there's a reason why, hopefully, in my lifetime and my children's lifetime, we'll never see anything like this again.
And, you know, John, we've been talking a lot about Richard Nixon, you know, in this recent sort of moment. And I am struck whenever I listen to Richard Nixon how even he sounds like a man attempting to speak with an honor and attempting to sort of hold himself up in an honorable way. The way he speaks is also very formal, like a president. He was a cloth coat guy. And I wonder if, because, as Ron said, it's one guy out of 312 million people, he's our one avatar. What happened to that need to have that person be a bit grand?
Yeah, it's interesting. Nixon was similar to Trump in many ways that have been discussed, but he came before a certain time. So even though he had a resentment of the elites, he had a sense that to present himself, to make a case to the elites, he had to at least try to speak well, and he learned to do it. He was actually a good speech maker off the cuff. He could actually speak quite fluently. The modern Nixon doesn't feel that way because we became so much more informal after the late 60s. And I think that was good in many ways, but it does mean that we now have an electorate who don't care about the fact that the president can't rub a noun and a verb together. It just doesn't matter to them. And in fact, if he were more smoothly articulate, for many of them, I think that it would make him seem less presidential, less appropriate. And the fact is that when you point this sort of thing out, in my experience these days, you're often accused of being smug.
Yeah.
Things have changed. I don't know if that's going to change. The articulate president is no longer necessary.
Yeah, and it's sad because even George W. Bush, who was the son of a president, felt that he had to pretend to be a rancher rather than a formal,
that was part of
Yale-educated, elite, very wealthy man. He sort of came across in his own mind. He wanted to seem like just a guy having a hamburger with you. He needed to.
And yet he had to make a speech when it was time, whereas this person feels no need.
No need to do it. Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. Columbia University professor and Daily Beast contributor John McWhorter, right there too. I love the Daily Beast. And Ron Perlman, great actor, who you can catch in the premiere episode of Startup, which is streaming starting September 28th on Crackle. Do not miss it. We love Ron Perlman. And coming up at noon, former federal prosecutor Samuel Buell joins my pal, Alex Witt, my girl, to talk about pardons. See how informal we are. And in our next hour here on AM Joy, we take you to Earth 2 and we flip this house. It's all coming back. Don't go anywhere.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.